Okay, welcome to the video. I am going to now share with you the appointment setting engine for brand storytellers. So if you're a filmmaker and you have literally been going through these horrible sort of highs and lows, I remember a lot of the time I was doing like sort of 50k brand stories, and I literally would go 1 or 2 months I'd get 2 or 3 sales and everything would just be like fantastic, and then I would go like 3-4 months without nothing. And it was because I didn't have a predictable way of reaching out to people or to actually let people know that I existed. People didn't have a problem spending with me because I really thought a lot when I took a client on. I really cared about like their customer journey mapping. I knew once I got in front of people, that was, but because of my offer and the way I used to help them make money through content, they would just go ahead. But the problem I was having is I just couldn't get in front of anyone. Like I literally needed a system to be able to actually speak to the right people. And a lot of people are having this issue. So I'm going to give you sort of an insight of what we build. Like to give you an idea of what we'll go through. This is the exact system that I'm using to sort of scale up to 500k a month. I'm giving you the sort of an overview of the flow chart of how we run our DM system, how we do our appointment setting engine, and you could literally take the insights from here and then literally try and build your own. Or you could potentially lean into us and start having a conversation. Depending on how you got this video, I would say just reach out to us and say, look, we want to talk. I want to talk to you to see how I can do this for myself. You are also going to sort of get an overview of the flow chart. Is basically, it's going to end the feast and famine mode. I'm going to also give you an understanding of how clout could guide you in building this exact system yourself. So you should have a fairly good idea. If you're pretty tech smart and you pretty like get the concept down, you'll understand how to do it. It's just if you want to build it with someone that is really dialed in and you're at that point in your business where you're just sick and tired of this inconsistency, you don't have time and you just want to work with someone, then clout would definitely be someone you would want to look at. I think no one on the planet does it better than what we do in terms of how to get a proper lead gen system, not only just set up, but actually automated, dialed in, and actually working in the background. So does it work? I mean, how did you get here? You got here, you're watching this video, you're inside of my system right now, you're watching my content, which is great. It's just proof that it works. And so there's nobody better than proving it works on you, and it's not the exact system I would run for a video agency. However, it's still a system that I've used for consulting and agency a little bit different. We're more sort of internet marketing, which I couldn't stand when I started consulting. As a brand storyteller, if you're selling anything sort of like above 30k, 50k projects, then you want to be positioning yourself as high end and not looking to internet marketing type of thing. But a lot of the reasons why you're having, why most video agencies are struggling is because they just don't have a clear avatar, no niche. They rely on word of mouth, which they build most of their business, which is a good thing because you're doing good work. You have lack of time to even look at a system like this and to build it because you're just busy or because you're just too busy on the wrong things. And then you've just got no structure to guide the conversation because you're so focused on the delivery side of the business, creativity side of the business, that you're just completely neglecting. You don't have a structure that allows you, or a systematic way to make that conversation flow into an appointment. Fear of rejection was a big thing for me. Like outreaching is always considered for me was needy, and I felt like, oh my God, like I'm chasing someone, I'm putting myself in not a very powerful position, but the way we do it is very powerful because we doctor and we get them to express the problems they're having, and then we lock in just the meeting, and then from there we have a different system for sales. And then lack of systems is a big thing. You have no methodology or process. You're just not putting out content. You've got weak clout. Clout is just simply authority and credibility. And again, not niching down. Like our system is basically, there's many things that we do in clout, but like this is just one little tiny piece of the puzzle, but it's a very important part, the piece of the puzzle. So we help you sort of build your content strategy and your clout and your notoriety and your online status, raise that up, and we help you also build your authority and credibility. That's one element, and then the other element is the sales processes, but this one we're talking about is the appointment engine. But we do many other things inside, like offer creation, how to package and price yourself. So The solution to all this is to have a systematic machine, and I call it the appointment machine because it really is a system that if you put inputs in, it will spit outputs out. So, work in, work out is kind of how I see it, like its result. When I was looking, I needed to make sure that I had something that's scalable, which this system is. I needed something automated, which this system is. I needed something low maintenance because I didn't want to spend 10 grand on ads every month. That's just too much. And I just, you get one wrong ad, it just messes things up. I wanted to basically use something that was very low maintenance, cost effective. That was really important. And then I found what I call the film and story method, which gave me endless leads. And this is the exact higher helicopter view of it. So basically, we call it the film process, which is our trigger, one of our main triggers. There's other triggers like inbound leads if you've got your SEO good. But it doesn't matter because even if you've got that dialed in and you say you went to a networking, you would still move to what I call the story method. And I'll explain what that is. And then we send them to a booking link, and then Slack fires off a CRM, and then it reminds them 30 minutes, and then we send them a testimonial or a case study in your case. And that's the exact system. Now, foundations for good appointment engines. In the beginning stages, you need to have like 90 minutes per day on this stuff. Like if you're really serious about building your business and you want to get past sort of like 50K months, 100K months, so you want to get really, really sort of serious, you've got to carve out time in your calendar to do this. Like, especially when you're building that script out and you're building the system out itself, you want to dial that shit in because once it's dialed in, it's perfect. You can then offload that to what we call an appointment setter, which I'll talk about in a second. You need to have 3 pieces of content out each week. You need to have consistent follow-up. And you just need to stop being so robotic, and you need to dial in your script. Your script is everything because it's sort of like the spine of how you communicate with prospects, new people. Doesn't matter, again, like whatever the trigger is, and I'll talk about triggers in a second. It could be the film trigger, which we use. It could be networking, which is a trigger that you've met someone. It doesn't matter. That script comes into play. You're going to use that script, and it needs to sound like you. You don't want it to sound robotic. You need to make sure that you're fast in the response because that's going to help. And so let's talk about one of the triggers. So trigger film. Film is a mechanism that we use to outreach. And there's so many different ways you can do this via email, DMs. DMs I like because it's fast, it's real time, it's personal, it goes to the phone, it's like a text message. Even though email does, it just feels a bit more personal. So the FARM, F for film, stands for farm. So we're looking for high-end leads. Now you should, if you're in Client Academy and you're working with us, we get you to develop your top 100 dream clients. But if you are looking for leads, you want to look for things like your top 100s first, and then award winners, hashtags, and then follow other influencers. We have many, many other different types of strategies on how to find clients through the farming process. But for now, there's just a couple, right? Because this is just really me giving you a sort of an introduction of what it's going to be like to work with us, because we're going to help build this out with you. Okay, so the second part of when you found a client potentially that you know you're going to like, or the triggers come in, you found them. The first point of trigger is you want to find something you love about them and then leave a compliment question. So what does that look like? Let's say you're niched into builders and you see a house, they've posted one of their finished products. You say, this is an amazing house. How long did that take you to make? Now what happens is that publicly, you've written that, they're going to go check your profile, and if you're niched in, let's say you specialize in visual storytelling for builders, they're going to say, okay, this guy's super niched, he's a specialist, he's just giving me a compliment, I have to write back. So they write back because you're an industry leader in visual storytelling for builders, right? So then basically they'll say like something like, it took this long to do, and then you'll reply by saying, hey, I've just shot you a DM, okay? And this is where you message them direct. So the first part of it is first find your client, find something that you love, leave the compliment question, and then message them direct. And that's how you start the trigger into what we call the story method. Now, the story method is super important, and it doesn't matter which order this goes in. Typically, I like to start with thirst, but just for the sake of the acronym, I've called it story, so you can remember the key points that you're trying to get from the DM. Because we found if we don't get these sort of these particular questions, and if we don't understand that, the client comes out completely unqualified and it just becomes a waste of time, right? So the first one is struggle, which is S for story, which is what are their pain points? Why aren't they where they want to be? Now, typically how I get to that is like, what's the North Star? After I've asked them how long have they been in business, I'll say, what's the goals for the next 2024? And they'll just tell me. And then I'll say, where's the biggest struggle? What's the biggest pain points? Are you the owner? Do you have, revenue? I would allude to revenue as like, what's the financial goal? Or, where are you at currently? Where do you want to get to? That's how you get to that question, because you got to be very, very sensitive in how you ask financial, questions, depending on the industry as well. And then you want to know, are they willing? Is this something that they want to change now? And if they say yes to all that, I am struggling, I have thirst, I specifically need to make this much money, I am the owner of the business, and I want this to happen now, well then, in my eyes, that is completely qualified to go to a booking link, right? And you would send them a Calais link, and then they would go. Now, this is you doing the system in the beginning stages, which I'll talk about in a second. And the reason for that is because we're trying to dial in the system so that we can train what we call an appointment setter to take over this. Like, when I was running my video agency, I never knew about this. Like, I never knew that there was actually a community called appointment setters that would take over my social media, pretend not to be me, but to step in there as my assistant and to walk them through this and then put them into my calendar. It's actually a really, really fantastic thing to do. So I'm going to run you through very quickly, just a quick overview of the exact system in terms of the script and how this works when it wants to load. Just give me a second, I'll pause the video. Okay, so here it is. So these are what you call triggers. Triggers. The trigger is, you could add more to these, but these are typically the typical triggers for a video agency. It's one, we do the film, which is going out, leaving a compliment question on our dream client by using farming through hashtags, through different areas. Like for instance, if you're niched into builders, just to keep on that theme, would be like Builders London or Builders New York, or Builders Brooklyn, or Builders Sydney, or Builders Brisbane. Wherever you are, it would be like, that's how you would search for the farming aspect. Then you find something you love, you leave a compliment question, and then you message them directly. That is now what we call a trigger. Now, other triggers could be that they follow your account. If they follow your account, it's a really good thing to say, are you following me for inspiration, or are you just wanting to say follow on to look at other people? Maybe something like that. But you want to, that's a trigger. Someone's followed you, someone's liked your comment, liked your sort of post or your content. And this is why I highly recommend you putting out content 3 times a week. Respond to C2F. So some of you advanced content creators, these are really good. So like if someone actually comments on something, then you could say, hey, first name, I saw your keyword, comment on below post. And then you take them through, how long have you been running for? Nice, I've been running my video agency. And then the trigger starts. Networking, it works really well as well. Like you go to a networking and BNI, you go to a high level networking event. I don't recommend BNI. I just find it very, anyway. But going to a networking event, like say Builders again, they're having a sort of a trade show or something of that nature. And then you meet a couple of builders. Well, this story method now becomes the script, whether you do that through WhatsApp, you do that through email, it doesn't matter. It was a pleasure speaking with you at the event. And then just try and include some kind of personal note. Just wondering, how long have you been running for? They'll come back and you say, nice, I've been running my video agency, working with builders for God knows how long. And then we're straight into what we call the story method. So we're looking for the goals, we're looking for the monthly revenue, we're looking for, are they the owner of the business? Do they have a problem? Do they want to fix it? Is it a now thing? And then we start to work through. Now, one of the qualifications, depending on what industry you're in, if they make over, say, 50 to 100,000 a month, or if they're a $5 million company, then, it goes to the next part of the script. If no, less than, then you would go to here, which is about, is the business below the avatar range? And you should set a standard to the type of clients that you work with, because this is about finding dream clients, not about finding any clients. Once you've dialed this script in and you put your content out that appeals to them, sort of $5 million revenue, companies, this is where the shit really works super well. And it's just automated once you hand this complete framework over to an appointment setter. But in the beginning stages, you need to be the one that's doing it. And that's why I always say put the daily rocks into your calendar, meaning make sure that you put things like 2 sections in your time for your 90-minute sort of appointment engine development, and then the delivery. Typically, if I just worked on 2 of them things, like which is creativity and delivery and finding new fresh leads, I just never went out of business. It was just always a very powerful thing to have. So the checklist that you need, and one of the big things that you need is you need to find an appointment setter. So, and when you're ready for that, is basically you have consistent content, you have predictable inputs that create predictable outputs, meaning you've dialed in your script, you've got a really good script. Now, if you want to work with Clout on this, this is where we shine. We basically help you set this exact system. We help you with the script. We have templates for the script that we can give to you that we know works very, very well for video production companies with specific niches. We also help you niche down. We help you with your offer. We help you with the appointment setting. We help you with your sales processes. We help you build your notoriety, your content game plan, all them things that we help you with. But if you was to do this by yourself, then you would make sure that you would have a script that is dialed in, and you want to make sure that you've got an extra $1,000 a month, because you're going to want to buy or hire your first appointment setter. And one of the things that you're going to be looking for is, are they available full-time or part-time? Do they have any sales experience? And we have the exact places to look for these guys as well. But if you say you're going to say, I don't know, like skilled or, a job ad listing place, so, you may want to go to the Philippines. That's a really good place to go. Anywhere in Eastern Europe is really good, because typically you can spend like $1,000 and they'll work full time for you. Do they have time? Do they take time to tailor their CV? These are just things that you need to be looking for when you're looking for your appointment setter. But that's the overview of everything that we do in terms of building this system out for you. Because once you have this system, it changed my life. Like when I dialed my script in, I had a systematic way of doing it. And then when I gave this to an appointment setter that took over the whole thing, that literally, became like heaven for me, because I was no longer experiencing these one-off 50K months, 30K months. I was able to predictably find the clients that I wanted to work with through a very dialed in script, through a very good trigger process, whether that would be like, networking events, whether that would be through film, which film is a very strong way of doing it. You can do 20, let's say you're in the building industry, you specialize in video production for builders. You can do 20 builders an hour if you have this thing dialed in, and it can really change the game for you. So I've given you the script that I'm using to 500K. We have a lot of appointment setters. So we have like 3 to 4 appointment setters at any one time. So that's how serious we take appointment setting. And even in my video agency, I had appointment setters on things like emails, outreach, and all scripts different for things like networking that were all very simple and easy for me to use. Giving you an overlook of the flowchart, giving you an idea of the film and story script, which is very, very important. And then the steps for what to look for your first appointment setter, which is just basically look for people that are available part-time. Look for people that are willing to work a full month for $1,000 plus maybe $50 every sale they get, or put them on $5 an hour and give them 2.5% commission. And they love it because it's a challenge for them. And if you go to places like sort of the Philippines or Eastern Europe, these are great places to look for me, because their cost of living is super cheap, and they will work for that, and they will put their heart and soul into it. And it's a very powerful thing to do. So the next steps would be to lock in your daily 90-minute block for outreach, implement the film and story, and develop refine your script under the story method, because story method is one of the most sort of powerful thing. And then once you are getting sort of 1 or 2 bookings a week, you then need to get your first appointment setter. At this stage, I would like to just say thank you for listening to me. And if you're interested in working with me, and you are going through them horrible sort of steps where them struggle moments where it just feels like you get this big project and then you can't get the next one, and you haven't niched, and maybe you haven't got really your packaging and pricing refined, and or you're at the point where you're doing okay and you're looking at scaling, because we help a lot of sort of bigger agencies scale up, then just reach out. Just reach out to me and my team. You can either find me through Instagram, or you can go to my email, michael@michaelhanson.tv, or, you know, my Instagram is I am Michael Hanson. Depending on how you came through this video, I just go back to that place and just say, I'd like to talk to you more. And we will talk to you on the DM, and then you could either book in with myself or one of my team members, and we will figure out a sort of customized plan for you. We are very, very sort of one-to-one. We do tailor our program around your specific location, your struggle, what you're going up against, and what you actually need as a sort of brand storyteller. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gave you some insight, because I wish I'd have seen a video like this back when I was running my agency, because I never knew it was that easier to be able to get a predictable way of getting leads in each and every single week, every single day. I mean, I'm now sort of averaging, I mean, if you look here, I'm like averaging, it's incredible, like these greens are all appointments. These are all appointments, like, that I'm averaging between sort of 10 to 20 a week. It's incredible how this works, and it's very, very, very powerful, and it will work for you if you have the right script and the right approach, and you have the right compliment question, and you look for the right type of client, and you are niched down, and you have this sort of presence, or this omnipresence online. By just sticking to these methods of putting 3 pieces of content every week, it is going to literally change everything for you. Like, it will change the game for you. I know, because I did it myself, and it just allowed me to have more consistency. And a lot of filmmakers, as you know, I see so many that are just absolutely amazing at what they do, but they just are constantly struggling, scrambling, lost, have no clarity of where they're going. And it's just because they've dedicated most of their life to their creative delivery. And that's the part that sort of breaks my heart the most, is that, like, there's so much to learn with things like drones, lenses, color grading, pacing of edits, the psychology of it all. Like, it's not easy. And that's why I developed Clout, to help those amazing artists have the work so they can build a life, so they can give back to their family, so they can actually, you know, be inspired and stay inspired, because they say follow what you love. But when you're constantly looking for work all the time, you start to fucking hate it. And that is what I don't want to happen to you. It didn't happen to me straight away. It got close, where it's getting very tough, until I invested heavily. And I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, investing in my education and my personal development and understanding how business works, because I knew that spending all this time with these amazing cameras isn't going to give me a predictable business. And that's the issue. That's the true issue. So I hope this gives you enough insights to either build it yourself, or to reach out to me and say, Michael, I need to speak to you. I need to sort this out. I'm ready to draw a line in the sand and commit to building a video agency that's actually going to work, and that's going to give me and my family security. So I hope to hear from you soon. Talk soon.